and design. And so, oh my God, I hate to start out a video in a new series with an apology, and I have to, because I want to start out today's video with my 2014 album for Project Life, and this is going to be my Throwback Thursday series. This is the album that I'm going to be working with, and so I want to go back and tell these stories and finish out this album. And I went to film an entire video walking through the part of this album that has been completed. And so right in the middle of this video we lost power, and I learned that if you are a videographer, I learned that when I'm filming for these videos, I don't use my camera battery. I use my adapter, my camera adapter. And so what I learned was that if you're filming plugged into the power adapter, your camera will not save what you were working on when the power was lost. And so I learned this the hard way, because then I went to download my videos and I went to put them into a presentable format for you, and there was this whole chunk missing. And so this is my second time filming this, and I'm going to try to recreate what I had already created for you. And so my apology is if there is something that is left out for some reason, or doesn't make sense, or didn't get tied back in. It's because I lost something. But that's okay. We're going to start over. I'm going to start over. We're at the beginning and I'm going to start over. And so this is, this is part of what we do, right? And these things just happen. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. What I want to do in today's video is just walk through my 2014 album as it stands today. And I'm going to tell you that the album itself is in 3 parts. There are a few layouts that are completed, and I'm going to walk you through those and let you take a look at the completed layouts. There are layouts that just have photos in them, and then there are all the layouts that have no photos, that are empty. And so what I want to show you in the Throwback Thursday series is how I approach going back and catching up in previous years, and how you can create an album plan for yourself so that you can get an album completed. This has been something that I have been working on. I've been working on creating an album plan for about 3 years, and because I've struggled with trying to get to where I feel like my albums are complete, and so I'm trying to hammer out a process for that. And so you're part of this process developing. I already have some things in my mind about how to approach a new album, but this becomes how to approach an album that's sort of in pieces. And this album does happen to be a hot mess. And so you'll hear me talk about that several times through this whole TBT series. You'll hear me talk about this album is just a big giant mess. And so I'm just going to walk you through what I did back in 2014. And so I have to tell you that in 2014, my husband and I decided to build a house, and so I did some scrapbooking for the first couple of months of the year, And then when the construction project started, I did not scrapbook at all. There were quite a few months that I did not do any scrapbooking. But what I did do was photograph. I kept my camera at my side and photographed. At this time I was using my Canon T3 DSLR. So all of these photos were taken with that. There may be a few iPhone photos here and there, I don't know. But most of them are DSLR photos. And so one of the things I love about looking back through this is the product time capsule. I'm using some Allison Craft and there's Maggie Holmes, I think that's Styleboard, and there's also some crepe paper in here as well, some of that Valentine's collection. And so these are just some of those stories. A birthday, there's always Emberlin's birthday in January. So definitely always a story that I tell every year. Some more Maggie Holmes product. Man, I love these. Yeah, these are just snapshots of what was going on. This was before we decided to build, we knew we were going to move, and so we took on a big giant project to organize our house that we lived in at the time. So I talked a little bit about that in this journaling card, and that was our dining room after we had repainted it. And that became a big deal when we repainted. Our dining room table is like one of our that's our homework table and our eating table, so it gets a lot of use, and taking all that out of that room was kind of disruptive. But anyway, so that sort of documented that a little bit. I think we had quite a bit of snow that year. We're in North Carolina, so we normally don't have a lot of snow. So that was definitely something to document here and to show. I think I have a picture of me and Alan in the snow every year. So that becomes a tradition now. That's a tradition. And we take that, it's a selfie that we take with the DSLR every year when it snows. So the other thing that I love about this is that here we are at the park this is classic North Carolina. Here we are at the park one day wearing short sleeves, right? And then the very next day, ta-da, it snows again. So, just totally love these memories. And then here is the day that we found the properties that we were thinking about, and then the day that we signed the contract. And my husband was saying to me just yesterday how cool he thought it was that here I am 2 years later, almost exactly 2 years later, starting back on this album and documenting this event. And that really is cool, and it really is nice to validate, first off to validate for myself, but to have him actually validate too that it was okay to step away from this project and to step away from documenting the construction project and just let that be for a couple of years and now come back and tell that story. That is absolutely okay to do. If you have to put something aside for 2 years or 3 years or 10 years and then come back and scrapbook it, be okay with that. Like, that's totally okay. If you want to scrapbook today, I have 50 million photos that I'm happy to scrapbook today, and stories that I'm happy to tell today, and maybe those are the stories that happened 3 years ago. And you can kind of see that in the videos that I release. I've got my current project life that's ongoing, everyday stories that are happening right now. And then I've got my Disney album, which happened 3 years ago, and now this album, which was 2 years ago. And like, that's totally okay. I think that what is critical for me, and what I'm most proud of for myself, is that I'm sitting down right now in the process of this album and quantifying what the finish line looks like. What do I want this album to look like once it's done? And then make a plan to get there. And that's what I want to come from these process videos, is an idea that an album, rather than it just going on and on and on with no particular end date or no completion date or no definitive, these are the number of layouts, generally this is what I want to do, to establish that, and then make time, a little bit of time each week to do that. And I kind of feel like I'm late to the organization game in that regard, because I've been scrapbooking for 12 years and am just figuring that out. And that's okay. What's great about me figuring that out now is that I can share that with you, and you can watch me figure out what this process looks like and learn from me, and then develop your own strategies and come back here and share those strategies, right? Okay, so these are the finished layouts. This is like week 17, and so there are not 17 layouts here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's actually 10 layouts here. And one thing I wanted to say too was that these aren't really weeks that are documented. These really are events that are documented. Some layouts are a little bit combined, where there's more than one event. But for the most part, these are just event layouts, and that's okay too. Now I tend to do more combined, now that I have the benefit of the Project Life app, so that I can tell the weekly kind of overall stories and then tell specific event stories. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to transition us into the second part of this video. And so the next part will pick up here. It will look a little bit different in the video, because you're going to watch me go through and organize how I'm going to fill in these stories, and then what I'm going to do later. Alright, so I'll see you on the flip side. Okay guys, so we totally lost power there. But I think that what I was talking about was that I'm going to make a flag here for myself, so that when I come back next week to start my Project Life process videos, I know that I can just come straight here, and this is my starting point. I don't have to wonder all week, what layouts am I going to work on? Where do I start? It's already laid out for me. And then on my to-do list, I wanted to write, first off, the list of weeks. And I usually have somewhere on the side what week numbers correspond with what dates. So I have to go back and do that, because I don't have a week number assigned here. And I also probably need to go back and further define some of these photos. I know, like, you can sort of see here on this date they had run the plumbing, so we had plumbing here on this date, and then here they had poured the concrete, and it was rainy around the time that they poured it, but you get a different view there, all in 1 week. So I do have that dated. So my archive photos are going to be important for the metadata that's contained in them, so that I can then define the week and have those dates more specifically pinned down, because I think that this is one day, right? The day that we got the plumbing, that they installed the plumbing, and then this is the next day where they poured the concrete, and then this is the next day where they had lifted the plastic off the concrete, and so we were able to, it had dried, and we were able to actually walk around. And so that will be the journaling for this, is where we were actually able to walk around and visualize our foundation. So that's kind of a big deal, right? And so this becomes the first layout. So what I can do then is just I'm just going to make marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each layout that I have to do, so that I can keep account of what of how many there are actually to do. I'm finding that helpful in my Disney album, that it helps me to know that there are 29 layouts in that album. And so that may be something that is helpful to you too, that we don't realize just by the nature of project life and having 52 weeks, that quantifies it for us. And so I'm glad that I recognize that, and I want to share that with you, so that if that's helpful to you too, then use that as one of your tools to help you keep moving forward. So the next week, that list of weeks is really going to be important to me, I think, to help me just categorize it in my mind. So the journey just keeps going, right? Here's the third layout, and you can see here, like, I already have all the product in place, right? And so there is absolutely no need to rethink the product choices here. In fact, I'm going to commit to myself right now just to say, hey, leave these products in these pockets. Don't change that. Just keep going. Use the products that are here, and I'm going to add another page flag. These aren't sticking really well on the plastic, so I'm just adding a little piece of tape, and that will become the next layout. And then I've got 3 counted. And I have a sticky note here because I'm guessing that there's a photo that's missing or that needs to be found. So I'm going to add that to my to-do list. And this is 5/8. 5/8. Photo missing. And so I'm gonna, when I go back to make sure I have all the photographs from this year, that will be one of the photos that I know I have to check and make sure if there is one missing. If there's not one missing, then I'll just go to this kit. I think that's Maggie Holmes' Project Life kit. That's from Teresa Collins. And just add a journaling card there. Right? Okay, and here's layout 4. Let's do another sticky. Okay, and I could write the numbers there. And this is just to keep me organized, right? And focused. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm sort of developing this as I go along. I've used some of these strategies all along. I think the 2015 album was critical for me in helping me develop the strategy of placing the photos and then having a definitive number of layouts. And so now I can carry that further and share that with you. So that's a good thing. I have another photo missing here, possibly. So those become photos to look for. Okay, and here's a layout that's completed. So hooray for that. This is the week that we got the windows installed. And so you can see how I'm using this Paisley Press element. I'm defining the number, the date on that, so that consistently throughout the album your eye goes to that, and you can follow that process. Okay, and here's layout 5. And it looks like this was the week that we got our electrical wiring installed and the windows were inspected, so that's good to know. And let's see, that was May 12th, so and now we have May 22nd. Okay, the next layout. And there's a gap here because that is dated 5/23 and that's dated 5/12. And that's dated 5/22. So something is out of order here. Okay, and it will probably help me once I have this list of weeks. But I'm also going to verify weeks of 5/12 to 23, okay? And probably what needs to happen, it's probably not a big deal. What I probably need to do is move till May 12th, so these photos here need to be here. Yeah, that's exactly what's wrong, because that event is that event. That's the last day of school. Okay. And, or no, that's not the last day of school. That was some kind of class party for Natalie. Okay. But the number of layouts is still going to be consistent, right? And I have some product choices that I've still got to verify too there, and that's okay too, right? Like I said, this album, I've known going into this that this album needed some serious help. So I'm just getting my piece of tape here. So this is how you get to see the messy parts. Alright, and then here's where it starts to transition into, no photos here, right? No cards here, no product is chosen here. So that's alright, we're going to keep, I need to keep counting. That was week 7. And this is our layout 7, this is layout 8. And again, that list of weeks is exactly what I need to help me get these weeks identified. Okay. 9. I'm going to just move that there. And this is a great way to get through some of your sticky notes. I just wish they stuck better on the page protectors, but that's alright. Okay, so week 9. Whew. Those need some photo editing. They are really blown out. So I'm going to add that 5:30 and reprint those. Normally I might not do that. I might just, you know what, the photos are printed, they're in there, let it go. But even when I put those in there, they were bugging me. Week 10, or layout 10. Okay. Okay. And then, wow, Nicholas still playing baseball here. That's cool. Okay, so another layout. This is layout 11. Okay, and then that's kind of the extent to which I'm able to number the layouts, because now I have gaps to fill that I don't really know for sure how I'm going to be able to fill them without going through, oh look, there's more page protectors too. That's awesome. I'm going to have to go through my folders on my computer and see what I find. That's the day we got our kitchen. Oh, that's so awesome. So anyway, I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up this video here and let that be part 1, and then I'll rejoin you and the conversation and the video with hopefully with the rest of the photos. I'm going to do that all off screen. I think that, you know, the process of selecting photos is a whole other lifetime of videos for that. But it is something that I need to do, and I need to make a note. I am going to make a note of sort of where I ended. I guess this was Addison's graduation and the kitchen arrival. Okay. Ended with May's grad. Okay, and so that's my task list, to list out the weeks to figure out these missing photos and to verify those weeks in May, to edit some photos, and then to figure out the rest of those photos. And I don't have, this part of it, figuring out the rest of the photos, I don't have to do that right now. Like if I wanted to go back and work on those 11 layouts first and do that, and then I could come back later. After those 11 layouts are done, I could come back and find these photos. Then you can do it either way, whatever is your preference. And sometimes it's just what you have time to do. So if going back and selecting photos and having photos printed, if that stops you, then by all means go work on these layouts, right? Find the thing that stops you and do something different. So it'll probably depend on what my time frame looks like this weekend and whatever as to whether I do that portion this week or later on. And I might not share that with you until later. What I will do is next week I will have a process video because I want to keep the process videos moving. That is one thing that I'm committed for you guys. So you'll see me here next week on this layout, and we'll get that done and we'll get rolling on finishing up this album. Alright, you guys, thanks so much for watching and for following along in this process of taking a hot mess and getting it all finished. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Okay, so I lied just a little bit because I decided that I would go ahead and come over here to sort of work on my photos a little bit on the computer. And so I wanted to show you how I sort of set up the process of going through this album. I have my album right here. I've laid it down next to my computer where my photos are on the archive. And so I'm just going through each layout that I don't have completed yet, and I'm trying to make sure that I have the dates right, because I had two layouts where they were mixed up a little bit, and just to make sure that I have all of the photos accounted for and that I'm ready to have them printed. That sounds confusing. But anyway, so one thing I did was I went ahead and printed my 2014 calendar, and I have all the weeks numbered from April on to, let's see, yeah, to November I did. So I know now what weeks I'm in. That's the first step. And then I went in and pulled up my archive for 2014 and pulled the whole, I don't think I pulled the whole year in yet. I pulled May. I pulled the month of May into Lightroom. And I have to tell you that I got Lightroom literally a week ago. So I don't even know what I'm doing in it, but I wanted to use Lightroom for the metadata and be able to pull the photos up by day. So right now I have May pulled in. Some of April is pulled in too. And this is awesome. It brings up the date and the day of the week that it is. And so all the photos that I took on May 1 come up right here. And then I can go to that layout in the album and double check and make sure that those are in there, or if there are any that I need to add, then I can do that. And what I'm doing, if I need to add some, is I'm making a to-do list. I know you can't really see it, but this is my print list. And so what I will do then is once I've gone through a couple of months. I'm not going to do all the way to the end of the year yet because that's too much. I'm going to just take this a little bit at a time. But I probably will do May, June, and July all at once. And so once I'm writing down the date and the number, the image number. And then when I'm ready to send these to the printer and I have a whole list, I can just go in and select those numbers and pull them into a print file, upload them and get them printed. I'll probably have them printed somewhere locally, just real quick, Walgreens or something like that. If I'm doing bulk printing, I send them out. I don't like to pay for shipping for those kinds of pictures. So that's probably how I'll handle that. But I just wanted to let you see how easy it is in Lightroom to pull in your images and then pull them all up by the date that is in the metadata. And of course you can go in and add labels to these and or tags and sort them that way. But this also is helping me with making sure. One thing that I noticed about this is that it let me see what days of the week or what days of the month we actually went to the job site. Our contractor was really good actually about every day we saw something being done on the house. And so we might not have come to visit the job site every day. We did almost every day. But when we did come, there was always something to document that had been done, whether it was the fireplace had been installed or the lighting had come in or whatever, the day the windows got installed, So I have that documented photographically, right? On this is May 16th, right? May 16th, and that day our fireplace was installed. So I can just write that image number down on a little sticky note and what the image is and put it in that slot in the layout, and then when those photos come back from the printer, then I'll know where they go. So what this let me do is see that these are the days in May that we went to the job site. May 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 16th, 19th, 21st, and so on and so forth. So this album almost, or at least this part of the album, becomes almost daily. But I'm still organizing it according to weeks, and so what I ended up doing is devoting, like for the 16th or for the 19th of May, that gets a full page, one side of a layout. So the weeks are really more than just one layout, and so being able to organize or see the photos organized that way helped me identify that need, that's how I needed to organize this. So props to Lightroom for the ability to do this, and I wanted to share that with you and just sort of show you how I have it set up, that I have my album is here, because this is going to be a process to do this. I have photos printed out until June, and obviously, whoops, there's a bunch missing in May. So, this is going to be a process, and it takes some time to go through and figure out what photos are missing. But I definitely encourage you to use the tools that are available. Lightroom is one. I know Ali uses Aperture, and there's probably a bunch of others out there that let you do this, that let you pull the metadata. So that's it for this part, and then I will see you